Good evening and welcome to the Bedminster Township Committee, September 7th, regular Township Committee meeting. I'll recognize that we have a quorum of Township Committee in attendance. We've got Committeeman Stevenson and Committeewoman Fernandez here with me in Town Hall. Committeeman Hickey and Committeewoman Moreski are actually participating with a Hills Village North Master Association meeting regarding the expansion of cable. And as soon as that meeting is over, they will both be joining us by Zoom. So, as we've been, we'll actually come to the flood issues and COVID in just a minute. So having recognized that we have a quorum, Ms. Ray, can you please give us the Open Public Meetings Act statement?
Yes. Adequate notice of this meeting of the Township Committee was sent to the Courier News, Somerville, Burtonsville News, Whippany, and to all subscribers and posted at the Township Municipal Building on January 7th, 2021.
Great, thank you. Please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We need desks inside here.
You do not.
No.
It's up to you. If you feel more comfortable with the mask, you can wear it. But it's not a requirement for participation in Town Hall. So, as I've been doing since the beginning of COVID, we've been running through the COVID numbers. I'll get to the COVID numbers for Bedminster in a moment. But first, I'm just going to run through the flooding from Hurricane Ida as it affected Bedminster. So I just want to start off with thanking the volunteers and the Bedminster staff who responded Wednesday night, Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon. Far Hills Bedminster Fire Department, Chief Draheim, Assistant Chief David Grundyke, Far Hills Bedminster First Aid Squad, the Pottersville Fire Company, Chief Lou Moore, the Bedminster Emergency Management Team, Chris Crowell, Zach Rubin, Ednan Rizvi, the Bedminster Police Department, and Bedminster Public Works. These guys, these men and women, were working throughout the night. I was on the phone with a fair amount of them during the storm and afterwards, and certainly Thursday morning as well. They're putting their own lives at risk to save folks in town and out of town. The responses on Route 287, 78, on our own roads here in Bedminster, vehicle extractions, house rescues, where homes were literally surrounded by the floodwaters. All these little streets and the Raritan River itself, these little creeks that we look at and we go, that's a nice creek, little creek, right? Kind of quaint. Well, they became raging torrents during that storm. And our guys were out there. And it was dangerous, but they did what they needed to do. Emergency management was activated. We had at least 12 folks shelter at the fire department. These were primarily folks who were driving through town and their vehicles were stranded, and between the fire department, the police department, and public works, they were extracted from their vehicles and sheltered over here in the town complex until they could get rides or get to their homes in some other fashion. And then throughout the day, on Thursday and then into Friday, the town was out there pulling vehicles that were stranded. And it was a bad situation. A number of our residents, present company up here, we all suffered flood damage as well. And, we are thankful that we did not have any fatalities in Bedminster. I was on the phone with the chief, both during the storm and after the storm, and, as they were doing an inventory of the stranded vehicles, crossing their fingers, they didn't find any with a body in it, and they did not. So the vehicles that were stranded, our guys got the folks that were in them out, which is important. So the swiftwater rescue, the rescue training that Far Hills Bedminster goes through was put into use. I spoke with some of the reps from 29, and they confirmed that the training was there. And even with that training, sometimes the fire departments found themselves going to one extraction only to have floodwaters come up behind them. So all our departments, our DPW, the police department, we're going to be going through an evaluation of the vehicles and equipment to evaluate damage, and to the extent there's damage, to make the appropriate applications to FEMA for emergency response and recovery. So what can we do here in Bedminster? Well, one of the first things we did is, going through flooding here, and we certainly fared better than some of our neighboring towns. Anyone who's seen the photos of Somerville and Bridgewater and Manville, these are literally just down the road from us. Extensive damage, and there were fatalities in some of our neighboring towns. So what can we do for our residents? Well, one of the certainly easy thing is everyone is, the three of us here have gone through it. We've gone through water damage in our house. Is the dump, right? Bulky waste drop-off. So typically bulky waste drop-off here at the municipal complex is open twice a month, and it requires getting the bulky waste permit from Town Hall. Seeing as there's a number of folks who probably have never used bulky waste drop-off, may not even know we have a dump. So we've got the word out through our social media that the dump is open for bulky waste drop-off for this week. It is free to all Bedminster residents, and it'll be open today. So it was open today from 7 to 3. It'll be open for the rest of the week through Friday, 7 to 3, and it'll be open on Saturday, 7 to 2 p.m. And once again, this is free to all Bedminster residents. We just asked for proof of residency. And if you've got water damage, whether it's furniture, carpets, electronics, anything that you need to get rid of that's not going to go through household garbage pickup, bring it on over, get rid of it, get it out of your house, get it out of your driveway, get it out of your garage, and you drop it off here. So I did speak with some folks from DPW today, and they said that that at 6:30 in the morning, there was already a vehicle that was waiting to use the dump, and it was utilized throughout the day. So there's already a big pile, and I'm sure that pile is going to get bigger as we go through the week. It's an expense that the town bears, but in this situation, we need to help our residents when we can. Be meeting with John Mance tomorrow to look at some of the roads and the washouts that we've suffered on mainly our unpaved roads, the gravel roads. I was driving those Thursday and Friday and throughout the weekend, and you can see where, especially on the steeper areas, the water just came through, washed out, and there's 2 and 3 foot drop-offs off the road, off the path. And then you go down a couple hundred yards and you see a big old deposit where all the gravel and the stone had been picked up and deposited. So we'll be working with John on making repairs to the roads and seeing what we can do to improve the situation for the next flood event. Donations. Been working with the county on identifying those organizations that are reputable and are properly vetted and supported by the county and municipalities. And there's a lot of GoFundMe accounts that pop up. I'm always a little leery of GoFundMe following a situation like we just went through. So for folks who were looking to respond, and I know Bedminster residents do want to respond, and we did it through fire, and we'll do it again through flood, that there's an appropriate way to respond and make those donations. But just for now, the township is going to work with the county and sort of identify what's appropriate, both as far as type of donations. My guess is probably money is always better. We are not staffed right now in Town Hall to do a food drive, which is what we did during COVID. And we did that because we had a lot of staff and we had the capability of running a food drive. I don't see that right now. There's other organizations that are already on top of that, so let them lead with that and we'll follow in where we can. So once again, thank you to all our first responders for their brave service during the flood. So COVID numbers, September 7th, Bedminster has 475 confirmed cases of COVID. Once again, that 475 starts from when the tracking of COVID positives, that was started a long time ago, but there we are at 475, and that is up 20 from our August 16th meeting. I still get the updates on a daily basis from the county, and there's been days, last couple of weeks, where we've had no reported confirmed cases, and there's been some days where we've gotten 4 and 5 confirmed cases. Ages are all over the place. Not a lot of young kids, but we are seeing more than we had in the past. Once again, we remain at 5 fatalities where we have been for a number of months, and we hope that number does not grow any further. Vaccination rates. So these are the vaccination rates. Once again, these are the numbers coming out from the state dashboard. So for Bedminster, for all ages, this is all ages, right? So below 18, over 18, the number or the percentage of all ages who've received at least one dose is reported as 75%. 4 weeks ago, that number was 71%. Fully vaccinated for all ages, 69%. And 4 weeks ago, that was 65%. For 18 and over, the percentage with at least one dose is 85%. 4 weeks ago, that number was 81% fully vaccinated, 18 and over 78%. 4 weeks ago, that number was 75%. For ages 30 and over, at least one dose is also 85%. 4 weeks ago, that was 81%. For fully vaccinated 30 and over, the number is 79%. 4 weeks ago, that was 76%. For 65 and over, the percentage with at least one dose is 106%, which is up 4% from 4 weeks ago when it was only 102%. And fully vaccinated for 65 and over is 100%. 4 weeks ago, that number was reported as 97%. So for those who haven't been listening to our prior discussions, these numbers are coming from the state, and they're basing it on census data and population trends. So I don't take these numbers as gospel. However, I do take them as a relative number, and for 65 and over, maybe we have 106% of our population that's been vaccinated. I don't believe so, but I will say that number is probably high, but it does reflect that Bedminster residents are getting vaccinated, and especially the older folks. So that is a good thing. And to some extent, maybe there's a correlation to the fact that relative to some of the other municipalities, that our total confirmed cases are relatively low. So once again, there's no requirement, but we certainly do encourage folks to get vaccinated, because whether it prevents or ameliorates the symptoms of COVID in either of those situations, that's positive.
May I ask a question? Just
Uh,
on the percentages?
Excuse me?
A question on the percentages. Are the under 12s built into that, or is that?
The under 12s will be factored into the all ages. So they're not, I don't have a specific number for under 12, but we do have all ages, which runs the entire age range. So that's why you see that for all ages, it's 75% with at least one dose. For 18 and over, it's 85%. So that delta of 10 is probably factored into the all ages.
Thank you.
So on August 21st, we ran or actually through the farmers market, we hosted the county health department in running a COVID vaccine. The county was administering either the J&J or the Moderna vaccinations to anyone who was interested. We really coordinated this in little over a week, so we really did not get much opportunity to promote it. But I'll tell you, working with the county and putting this together, and working with, and actually being at the farmers market that day, we got about 14 folks who showed up to get vaccinated. And I do believe that we can get bigger numbers once J&J and Moderna and Pfizer are all approved for either the third shot for the immunocompromised or for the booster shots, which we expect to be approved within the next really few days and maybe within the next few weeks. So I'm already coordinating with the county that we can once again administer vaccinations at the farmers market. We're getting, hundreds of people going through the farmers market. We originally talked about perhaps running it at the firehouse here in the municipal complex, but since we're getting 700, 800 plus through the farmers market, rather than having folks having to go to seek out the vaccination, well, let's bring the vaccination to where the people are. So if we can bring them out there and do it again, we will do so. And that's what I have on COVID and the flood issues. So we're going to open up the meeting to public comment. So this is one opportunity for public comment. So folks who are looking to come up and make a statement, the dais is up here, right up there. So come on up and we'll recognize you. And if you are participating remotely, you can request to participate in public comment. If you are participating by phone, dial star 9, and you'll be put into queue and recognized for public comment. If you are participating on your computer, take your cursor, scroll down to the bottom of the page where it says participants. Hover your cursor over there, and you'll be prompted for raise hand. If you click on raise hand, Ms. Ray will put you into queue for public comment. So let's start with, there's someone here in person. The dais right here, the microphone, come around the lectern. And we'll need name and address.
Okay, my name is Susan MacDonald. I live at 317 Luckerman Park Court in Bedminster. I have a number of my neighbors with me, and we have prepared this document, which I believe you have. about issues that we have with the management of Pluckerman Park. Serious issues. Snow removal, landscaping, broken cement on many porches, air duct cleaning, garbage removal, the toilets and plumbing, outside paint, inside roof leaks, outside lighting, outside gutter overflow, parking, and maintenance man. We don't have one. We don't have a maintenance man on the premises anymore, daily or whatever. We have to call and make an appointment, and they come out and inspect, and then they make an appointment to fix. Well, if your bathroom is clogged, it's difficult to wait 5 days. And they don't do anything. Very often they don't answer their phone. So, I'm going to leave it to you. I think you are responsible for Pluckerman Park, and I hope all of you. These are very serious issues. I don't want to read them word for word. It will take too long. And there are more issues than this. But you could pick the most important ones I've pretty much noted. And I also put in some possible solutions. But something has to be done down there. It's utterly ridiculous. You know they painted the neon yellow house.
Oh, well, we're
Yeah,
aware of that.
You were on top of that.
Yep.
Quickly. They came and sprayed to tone it down, which was a good idea. They painted another house candy apple red. We called that time.
Yeah, so let me just jump in on that. We through Historic the Historic Preservation Commission, we brought them in and explained to them that there are certain colors that have to be used in a historic district, and banana yellow was not one of them. And we were assured that they would be picking paint from a particular swatch. Was it?
Palette?
Palette.
Palette.
Word. From a particular palette that was basically the Benjamin Moore historical. It doesn't have to be Benjamin Moore, but that color, and match that color in with paint. So I don't know why they're not using the right color paint there. But this is the kind of information that we need, so that you can arm us to go back to them to explain to them what the issues are. I mean, there's nothing that I read in here that surprises me, right? I mean, we're aware of these issues. I am not suggesting by any stretch that the property is in good shape. I will say that it's in better shape than what it's been in years past, which is more an indictment as to where it was as opposed to praising them where they are. I fully understand your issues here. I mean, your gutters, how half of them aren't even attached. So they just sit there and the water careens off the side of the buildings. And this is an issue that we have because that's not going to get any better. If you're not getting water away from your buildings and the water's not getting into the gutters and getting away, it's going into the structure and it's only going to create more problems. So we're aware of a lot of these issues. The problem becomes what rises to the level of a violation. And I think that's where we're at now. We have to bring
a pile of wood that was around the garbage containers in the back of the houses a violation?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the pile of wood. I mean, I'm certainly can get back there and check it out. And I've been over there several times. I saw one branch that was on another structure ripping off the gutters, and we had to get that cleaned up. And I hear what you're saying. Believe me, I understand.
Okay.
And for those of you who actually have the agenda for the Township Committee meeting, under old business, Pluckerman Park housing has been an agenda item that we've kept on the agenda starting, I don't know, maybe about 3 years ago. I know when I became mayor, I put it on the agenda because Committeeman Stevenson and I had looked at some of the safety issues. We'd gone through Pluckerman Park numerous times. We'd seen railings that weren't connected to the walls. And when you're dealing with a population, no offense, a little older, because that's the type of housing that's there, having railings that were not connected, that is a safety issue. And we sent our enforcement office out there on multiple times. Doug had meetings with management and with ownership to get that work done. The holes, the sinkholes in the driveway, also unsafe conditions. The curbing, the sidewalk,
Yeah.
they were cited. As Doug said, some repairs were made. Some repairs were
Not me.
not made or made poorly.
Yes.
And we keep it on the agenda so that it's a reminder to everyone on Township Committee to work with our code enforcement, our fire officials, that Buckman Park remains a priority for Township Committee, and we will continue to send enforcement out there to take the steps that are appropriate. We've even gone so far as both Doug and I, as attorneys, we deal with some of these similar companies and management, and we've talked to some of our, folks that we know, like, should this be operated? How could this be operated better? Can this property be put into someone else's hands? How can we help these owners sell it? Because if they're in over their head, then get out and bring in a better ownership and a better management team. So that's something that Doug and I have been using our own private contacts, trying to facilitate something here, and we're going to continue to do that.
I'll tell you, we've heard comments from the ownership that there's not enough rent to justify all the repairs, and we're adamant that is not our problem. That is not your problem. It is your problem, but it's not the problem you're making. That's their problem. Okay, that's the economics of the deal that they bought into, and we don't want to hear you don't have any money for this neighborhood. So that is the constant struggle here, that they're reluctant to put money into the property because they're not getting a lot of money out of the property, but we will continue to be on this. I will go out there tomorrow. I will walk the property. I thought personally that some of the surface area where you walk was an improvement from years ago. That used to be like walking on the moon.
Yeah, the
And
sidewalks.
it's smoother now, so I will at least give them that, okay? A lot of the areas that you're talking about here, some of the stuff's happening inside the units. We're not aware of that.
Sometimes they fix a leak and don't fix the ceiling above.
I would venture to guess that they have yet to put a second coat of paint on any structure other than the neon yellow since inception. And the paint there,
It's only like 3 houses they paint.
when they painted look, we were on their case to paint because it looks terrible, right? You've got chipped paint all over the place, and they brought in the first structure and they went neon yellow, and we went ballistic. And that's when we called them in and said, listen, you need to, what they presented to us was sort of a 5 or 7 year maintenance plan where they would go and everybody would get hit within that period of time. We said, no, that might work once you get a baseline that's acceptable. Right now, you don't have that. So building 6 and 7 in your plan is not waiting. We can't wait 5 years for you to throw paint on. And at the end of the day, I don't think that a coat of paint is what needs to happen. You've got cupping and buckled wood on the structures. They may have to rip that out and replace it with something. And I will tell you, I walked that property with Abe and another interested individual, and I suggested to them that they might want to look at, some sort of vinyl siding, something that's more permanent. And it went nowhere because of the costs. So I think what we're collectively up against here is the notion that there's no money here. But that's not an excuse, and we're not going to let it be an excuse. I'm just telling you that that's what their position
And
is.
to the extent that there are violations, and violations are not repaired, well, that becomes a monetary issue as well, because that is something within the town's enforcement authority, is that we can assess penalties on them for failure to properly maintain. They were the subject of previous action by the township.
Did we pay them?
They affected the remedies.
The effect of the remedies before it went to court, but this would suggest that there's some other stuff going on that we need to focus in on. So you have my commitment. I'll be out there tomorrow. I'll be looking around. I'll bring this down there. I'll check it out. I'll get on the horn with Abe, and we'll start that process again. If we have to bring in, excuse me?
If you're lucky.
No. I mean, look. Look. Abe has been very responsive to me. Okay, I can't speak to what he is with anybody else. He's been very responsive to me. So I will call him and get into another conversation with him and see where they're going. I didn't realize that the maintenance person had left. Okay. Originally, it was a gentleman by the name of Angel, I think.
Angel, I think, was two ago.
And then, right, so is it Abe that you're saying is gone, or is it?
Ray.
Ray,
Ray
okay.
was the
Okay.
manager they hired last
Okay.
year. But he didn't know how to do anything. Didn't
And
know
he's
how to
playing with a
pay.
half a deck. I mean, they're not giving him any money. They're not giving him any funds, so.
And so
Look, I mean,
so the choice is that either they start funding or they start paying Bedminster in penalties.
Yeah, yep.
And we don't want their penalty money. We want them to fix what is broken.
That's right.
Robin, do you have any update? Have you had any communication with the reps from the ownership or management?
To Abe, after Susan McDonald had reached out to me, he did call me back. He was en route to Bedminster to meet with a new maintenance person for the site. I don't know if that actually went through. And he was meeting a plumber for two of the apartments two of the units that had issues.
I can speak on it.
Oh, Dave, if you're going to speak, you're going to have to either get a microphone. Are you okay coming up to the lectern?
He's got budgets.
Yeah,
Or we can, or Susan, if you want, or Robin, if you want to bring the microphone to the gentleman.
Microphone.
I mean, we got a raise in our rent. So where is
Well,
it, what is it doing?
let's stay on one issue at a time. I had,
Oh, we need your name and address, please.
my name is John Mahoney, Mahoney. I live at 315 Pluckerman Park Court, and I've been there for just over 2 years. 2.5 weeks ago, when the first storm came through, before Ida, I had leaking coming from nobody lives above me. I'm one floor, all right? I'm on the first floor. So I have a roof over me. I took about 6 gallons of water in my living room, falling from the ceiling vent down to the floor. I put pots down. And about 3 gallons of water in the bedroom, falling from a ceiling vent. I called, they got somebody out. Person showed up 2 days after they were supposed to show up, no phone calls. I'm stuck at home anyway. I'm essentially non-weight bearing. I'm on disability, waiting to go back to work. He came out. I told him that this is where the water came from. They said, well, there's no water coming now. And I said, well, no, it hasn't rained in 4 days, right? I said, but I took 5 gallons of water out of here. Imagine if I wasn't home, what would have happened to these laminate floors, all right? They said they don't have a maintenance man. They were bringing a roofer. The roofer came. I told him that even before I started taking on water, for 2 years, every time it rained, on the south side of my wall, facing the parking lot, I have a window and I would hear dripping. No water coming into the house. Sheetrock, not wet, but there's a dryer vent and buckled clapboard, split clapboard, right above that area. So I said, you're taking on water. It will eventually come into the house. You're going to have to fix it. And by the way, what about mildew? And what about mold, right? Oh, well, if it's not coming in, we're not worried about it, blah, 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 this and that, this and that. So it's a catch-as-catch-can thing. I can call, get a response, but never get a resolution. And options without actions are just options. So now I'm left with the position of saying, well, what do I do if nothing gets resolved? Do I withhold my rent? Do I put it in escrow until things get resolved? I've done a little research on the development. The development was, I think it opened up in '95. The dates are a little conflicting. Well, 95 to now is 26 years, all right? You think there's a 30-year roof on that house? No, I guarantee it's not 30-year shingle on that house. So anyway, now Ida comes through, I get more water coming in. A week and a half after the original report of water, a week past when they did the repair, all right? The repair, he told me, was the ridge vent was missing 2 feet of ridge, and that's where the water was coming through. He went out, he put more ridge vent on. Ida came through, it wasn't raining, but by 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I was taking on more water, all right? Took his equal amount of water, which may have been an improvement given the intensity of Ida, but took an equal amount of water in both spots. Called them again. Oh, we're going to have the roofer come out again. He'll be there between 1 and 4. Shows up at 8:30. All right? It's dark. I said, you're going to have to go up into the ceiling. Oh, we don't go up into the ceiling. I said, well, how are you going to locate the leak if you don't go up into the ceiling? You got to see where the water's coming from. It's not coming from the vent. It's not leaking over each vent. It's running down the rafters to the vent. I owned a home for 30 years. I know how to find a leak. I got the guy to go up. He said he found one, couldn't find the other. He's coming tomorrow. So if you're going to be there tomorrow, he's coming tomorrow.
Is that
Now,
what you said?
yeah. Now his name is Wilmon. Wilmon lives 45 miles west of Allentown, Pennsylvania. And he works directly for Treetop. He has a number of units that he's running to, putting Band-Aids on blood wounds, heart wounds. And he's their solution now. He's going to show up every Wednesday to be their maintenance guy. So we're going to report whatever we need to report. Wilmon's going to come on Wednesday, and if you're looking for him at 4, you better be ready at 8:30 or 9.
Can
You know?
I say something? He came to me at 9 at night, and I didn't let him in my house. He had to.
We're gonna need you up at the microphone.
He had to.
No, that means now. So if you're making a statement, we need you up there.
Well, let me finish. So that's their solution. Their solution is not to hire a maintenance man to be on site to handle maintenance. Their solution is to get emergency calls, never get a personal, always leave a message. Now I'll say Abe has been responsive in getting back to me, all right, within a day. But the responsiveness almost seems to be obfuscation, because I don't need somebody to come and tell me I got a leak. I know I got a leak. I need somebody to repair the leak, all right? And when I tell them, you know, the roof is 26 years old, you're probably looking at a new roof. I understand he's got 10 or 14 or 16 buildings there. That's a big outlay. But again, that's not my issue.
That's what he bought.
Yeah.
They bought this.
Yeah.
They bought this development in the condition it was in when they bought it. I don't know, 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago. They knew what they were getting into.
Right.
So whatever baseline condition they had, the buildings are not going to get better by themselves.
Well, I guess my question, and this may not be the right forum to ask it. My question is, as a tenant, all right?
Okay, so anticipating your question,
Right.
and we've done this before. The Township Committee has done this before. We will put you in touch with Somerset County Legal Aid,
Right.
and we did this before for the residents,
Right.
to talk about what your options are. Now, the last time we did this, and we offered up this room, and we said, we spoke with,
On the renting.
what was her, I forget the woman down in,
Legal.
Ferrera, was it
Services
Ferrera?
West Jersey.
and the decision was made that the tenants did not want to pursue. But I knew, that decision was made, because we had offered it up, we'd offered up meetings. We can't get involved in a tenant-landlord issue, but we can certainly help convene your discussions with an attorney, and then you can take that matter in whatever direction you want. We're willing to do that again. So we can reach out to Somerset County Legal Aid. They understand the situation. They know that this is affordable, it's age restricted and affordable. So as qualifying for legal aid, as a group you probably will. And that she can give you the appropriate legal direction on whether you can withhold rent, not withhold rent, put it into escrow, what steps you have and what rights you have as tenants with respect to the service you're getting from your landlord.
And they told us that we had to have 100% of the residents agreeable. And
You may need another follow-up, Susan, you may need another follow-up call with the attorney and take it up again at that point. If we need to put in,
people in our community who do not participate, they don't vote, They're lovely people. They do not participate in government, certain religions. And we have people living in our community that have those religions. So we could never get 100%.
So then it's a one-off. So even if Mr. Mahoney's situation, if Mr. Mahoney qualifies for legal aid on his own, then it does not necessarily have to be as a group. But it can also go through
The other
legal
issue,
aid.
right, the other issue that we were trying to circle the wagons on for you was when they were trying to bump up your rent and some other charges, and you thought it was a bump above what they were permitted to charge you. And, excuse me, that's when we brought in legal services, but it seemed like everybody wasn't on board. But this, I agree with Mayor, that this is something we can organize, a sit down. If you have individual issues, you can speak to legal services and then retain legal services on a one-off based on your particular situation. Let's just ask you, sir, do you have a smartphone?
I'm sorry.
Do you have a smartphone or any way to sort
I do.
of capture the water leak as it's happening?
Sure, I can do
I
that.
would suggest that you do that only because then you've got the actual evidence of, this is whatever date and it's raining and this is what I'm getting.
It's supposed to rain tomorrow night.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
Right?
So document.
Thank you.
Can I-
Thank you, Mr. Mahoney.
If I do record that, do you want a copy of it?
Sure,
Okay.
sure.
And I would get that to you how?
You can send it through Ms. Rave.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask you a question?
We need to recognize who's ever with the,
Mayor will recognize you.
so you come up to the lectern, please. And name and address.
My name's Joni Budke. I live at 533 Pluckaman Park Court. I'm probably one of the newer residents. I moved in October 31st of last year. And, I think there's a remarkable asset there. The apartments are generally spacious and well laid out. And, but, the whole place is deteriorating. And the management is fairly cavalier about any kind of improvement whatsoever. And I don't know legally how they're constituted. I don't know if our rent is the only income they have, or if the state or the city or somebody is subsidizing them. Do you know that?
I don't know if they're getting subsidies from governmental sources. I don't know the answer to that.
So, and I don't know if you guys are aggressively pursuing these infractions and trying to, enforce what's going on. So what do we have that we can use as a recourse to see what is legally and not legally occurring at that facility? How do we,
So,
what do we have to
we're-
look at to know?
While
whether
Doug and I are
or not-
attorneys, we're not your attorney.
I know.
So that's why we want to put you in touch with legal aid with regard to your tenant rights.
But
From the
I know
township's
this
perspective,
township
we can go
statute
after them for
something
violations,
right?
but we need to know about the violations. So if there's a leak inside your unit, or someone's plumbing is in bad shape, unless our enforcement officers know about it, they can't take action. So we need complaints,
Okay.
and we need documentation.
All right,
And
so
then
I'm
get
asking,
that.
where do we?
So
where do we
then
do that?
you bring that to town hall, you bring it to our code official, and that would be Ken Rogers,
Okay.
and Ms. Ray will give you his contact information. And you can turn right around and Ms. Ray will hand you his email and his phone number so you can reach out to him.
Yeah, because, I think, a lot of people are doing a lot to try to improve the quality of this facility. And probably spending their own money to do that. And, it'd just be nice to know that the city and the owners of the property had at least that much vested interest in the same thing. And I think it's a shame because a lot of properties on 202, 206, that stretch of the village, are being improved.
Absolutely.
This one's sliding in the wrong direction.
Absolutely. This,
And And this is a residence, you know,
Yes.
that's the issue, right? These are residences, so, okay.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Robin. Yeah, come on up.
I really don't want to speak on that.
Oh, you have to.
Okay,
We have to capture you on the recording,
okay.
and we'll need your name and address.
Michelle Castellano, 425 Pluckerman Park Court, Bedminster. I was sitting in my living room, and I look up and I see the other night a 3-foot line bubble. What do I know from a bubble in the ceiling? Called my son from Brooklyn, who has a big house. He says, you gotta break that. You gotta let that water out. If you don't, it's gonna spread all over the place. I have a bad arm going for therapy. I couldn't use this arm to break the damn bubble. But I managed to do the left arm and a rod this big. It's over my coffee table in the living room, beautiful table. I put a pot, I put towels, everything I could. I says, if it breaks, it's gonna go somewhere. Took this thing, pricked the ceiling, came out like a faucet. For a good long while, it was pouring out, like he said, and emptying buckets of water back and forth with this bad arm. I did have, that same night, I was told I was supposed to have someone stop by between 3 and 6. He came 9 o'clock knocking on my door. Wilhelm, I think his name, same person. Comes to my door. I said, who are you at 9 o'clock at night? I'm not letting you in. Show me identification. My father was a police sergeant. He shows me everything. I let him in. He took pictures of my ceiling. I don't have pictures. He has them, Wilhelm, of my ceiling. And then he had a ladder outside. He went up there and took pictures up there and came back and showed me where the leak is from outside at night. I said, you're going up there at night? And that was the end. He says, we should be fixing it this week coming up. Now we're told Wednesday it's going to be raining. So I'm sitting there with a spaghetti pot on my coffee table because I don't want to flood all over the place. What's going to happen if we have severe rain again going on? And this is it. Okay, I know it's a Jewish holiday today. Try calling Abe, no answer, nothing. Okay. But it never gets done. Whatever he starts never finishes. And then he goes and starts giving you, oh, well, it's going to be better or this and that. Nothing gets better. In all those houses that were painted, maybe there were 3 or 4 of them. That's all that was done. My apartment was supposed to also be painted. I'm there about 8 years. Nothing. No gutters cleaned, nothing. The worst possible thing. It never gets done there, nothing. You ask them to do something. Ray was a terrible, terrible guy working there. Terrible. Didn't even know what a rake was, okay? Or a broom. And that's it. I mean, we're so aggravated, all of us.
Do you have Wilhelm's number?
No, he wouldn't
You don't?
give me a number.
You get him through Treetop?
Yeah, he didn't
So
give me a
you
number.
want
I
to
asked
reach
for a
out
number.
to, because if you're not going to get Abe,
Yeah.
let's get some.
I let him write his name down on a piece of paper. I don't have that paper with me.
Will
Yeah,
Mon?
What's an unusual name?
Okay. Okay.
He lived in Pennsylvania, just like John said. I felt so bad for the guy. It was like 9:30 at night, and he's carrying a ladder. He also left a piece of equipment at my house. Never came back for that either.
I mean, there's no question. Okay, water damage is incredibly bad. It goes to the lowest point, and it will never go away on its own. Once you have a leak, it will come back and
Yeah,
back and
it's
back.
like something
Your
has been
story,
done.
it's, it's telling me is the useful life on these roofs is gone. And they're all going to start experiencing this issue. So
Apparently, everything hasn't been, a lot of things haven't been done for 25 years.
yeah,
I recently had my heat changed after 25 years. The air condition had to be changed after 25 years. Then some man from your area came down and inspected the heating element. Came in and he says, "It's good, but I have to give you a citation." And I'm holding that citation. I called Abe up and told him. He left a citation, something has to be fixed in the steam room. I call it the steam room. And he says, "Oh yeah, we're gonna look into that." I'm holding the citation.
who issued the citation?
From Bedminster, would it
From
been,
Bedminster?
Yes.
It would have been plumbing or electrical.
Yeah, it was electrical. I guess it was the electrical, right. It's an orange paper. Yeah, it's a citation.
Yeah.
I called Abe and told him that.
All right, I'll get to
That's
the
it.
bottom
All
of
right.
it, too.
So there I am sitting with a spaghetti pot on my coffee table, waiting for the rain.
Here's Ken Rogers' information.
Ms. Castellano, we will, once again, document anything you can and get it over to our inspectors, whether it's electrical, plumbing, or safety. Document it, get it over when we know about it, when our staff here knows about action. They already know that the Township Committee has made Pluckman Park a priority. So they know that if a complaint comes in, that they need to go out and respond. So that priority, once again, as I showed you all before,
Can we
we've
hire
kept,
somebody?
we've kept you on.
Yeah.
We've kept you on our agenda every meeting.
Can we hire somebody? I remember one time hiring my own plumber. He came and he did a wonderful job. I never had to touch that sink again. It was perfect. And they must have paid his bill because I didn't. So, I mean, could we do that?
What-
Could we hire somebody? and give them
That's
the
for you,
bill?
that's for you to talk to with someone from legal aid.
Okay, that's great.
And if that's an option, then make the repairs and do whatever your attorney tells you to do. And if that's a set off against the rent, so be it.
Take it off my rent, right. We just was raised, right, we were just raised too. Thank you.
Thank you. And trust me, we don't keep Pluckman Park on our agenda just to fill up space on our paper. We keep it up there because we know it's an issue and we know it's a community that is frankly, your options are limited. The ability to move, really that's not a viable option for you guys. So that's why we keep it a priority. So we make sure that when we know of an issue, that our staff, our enforcement is put into effect and repairs are made. And if they're not made, they go to court and they can meet with Judge Howes, and Judge Howes will have, my bet is Judge Howes will have not much sympathy for those owners. Public comment is still open.
Can I just summarize that? If we have an issue, we're to get in touch with code enforcement here in town.
Yes, so Mr. Mahoney, since you were captured on audio, so what he asks is if there's an issue that they should reach out to code enforcement, and the answer is yes, and document it. Just as Doug said, take the photos, present them to Ken Rogers, and if it's not a Ken issue, Ken will make sure whether if it's electrical, it goes to electrical, if it's plumbing, it goes to plumbing, but we'll make sure that the appropriate enforcement is taken.
And that's the same.
And fire,
that's the
fire goes to, in that case, fire enforcement goes to Steve Dill.
And let me just add.
And we have a very aggressive fire official.
It's not just, what's inside your homes. If there are issues that are at the property, the common areas, okay? We're not patrolling all the time. We'll go through from time to time and see what's going on. If you're aware of something, let us know. Okay.
I've never seen you. I wish you had come and met some of us.
He
Yeah, no,
did.
I've been there. Been there several times, yeah.
Yes.
So,
So you have township committee showing up, you have our enforcement people, you have access to all of us. And we've all been out there. So we've seen the safety, which frankly was one of our big priorities, was making sure the safety issues.
yeah, okay, health code issues too.
Yeah.
We can make sure we'll bring that to the county. They run our health code. So, we will get the relevant folks that have the authority in play here. We're very much aware of the conditions but what we need is information.
And then from the point of view of responsiveness or lack of responsiveness, then we take it to legal aid and find out what our rights are under the lease or under the particular arrangement of whether that is subsidized property or not.
Right, and what we'll do is, whether it's Melissa Riley, who's our town attorney, or Robin, we'll dig up the contact at legal aid that we worked with before, and we'll put you in touch with her, and she can run you through your options.
And I will follow up with Robin then as to who that contact is.
Yes,
All right, Robin. All right.
that's Robin. Robin over there.
I'm right here.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you, Mr. Mahoney.
I just have one more question.
Yeah, Susan, you have to come back up so we can capture your audio.
Can you capture my audio if I'm looking at you?
Yes, we can.
Is lighting, outside lighting a safety hazard or an electrical hazard?
Safety hazard.
Safety.
So we have a big
And
problem.
we've
had,
and we've actually, Doug, I know Doug has raised that with Abe before.
Yeah, I mean, you have, as you enter the site, straight back to the left, there is a piece of conduit that's open in the ground. You can see the live wire right there. I mean,
Oh, God, I didn't see
it's,
that.
yeah, it's,
I'm
if you've got, I saw your lighting issue right up in here. I'm going to raise that with Dave. I'm going to raise all these issues here with Dave. But I do see that your lights are on in the day and they're off at night. I mean, it seems to me like it's an AM, PM thing on the timer,
But it's
so.
gone on for years. I've been there 3 or 4 years. I don't even remember.
No, that's a safety issue. You know, you got to be, there's a reason why there's lights
Yeah.
there, so you can
And
get around at
The
night.
lighting is supposed to be of a certain luminosity, and it's supposed to be spread out so many feet, so that when you're walking at night, you don't trip and fall. And we don't want the residents of Pluckman Park to have falls.
Look, I know some of you residents there have walkers and have assisted ways to assist walk around. And I was very much focused in the past on just the literal, no two surfaces matched up. Everything was a bump, and this is unworkable. So I do think that some strides have been made for that, but I think what happened, and I think to answer the question that was raised earlier about the level of aggressiveness, okay? We marched our in code enforcement out there, we cited them for a bunch of violations, and then it came to the table and it got taken care of. It didn't go to the court, okay? What we didn't know, and what we're hearing today, is that they're starting jobs and they're not finishing them, okay? That's a problem, because what we noted and cited them for, they completed, okay? So this is the kind of thing that we need, okay? We want, and we always encourage the residents, if there's something going on in town that we don't know about, you got to bring it to us, because that's what we're here for. So, thank you. I mean, this is what we need. I'm sorry that you have to live in these conditions, but this is the start to getting action, okay?
Right, and so once again, we're not inside Mr. Mahoney's living room, we're not inside Ms. Castellano's kitchen, so we're not there, but when we know about it, or our staff knows about it, action can be taken.
And it will be taken.
Doug, I'll be around all day tomorrow if you want to stop by.
You got it.
315 Pluckman
315?
Court. 315.
315.
You got it.
And mine
Right
is
behind your barber shop.
425.
Okay.
And Michelle Castellano, 425.
Okay, Michelle. You got
I'll
it.
be working.
I'm going to stop in on my way to work. But yes, good.
Is there any FEMA resources if they had flood damage from this past storm through the county for them? Like their sheetrock, their roof, all that's got damaged?
I don't know.
I think, I don't know. Usually I said that insurance, it's got to be wind related.
Yeah, it goes through the,
They don't cover flood, they cover wind.
The wind, but the wind might have blown off the roof, which caused them to have leakage.
but even then, that goes to treetop, that doesn't go
That
to
goes to treetop, okay.
these individuals
Got it.
directly.
Okay.
All right, we are still open for public comment. Once again, anyone else can come up to the dais or *9 by phone or raise hand on Zoom. Okay. Thank you all for coming out.
Yes, thank you
You're
for
welcome
coming
to
in.
stick around for the rest of the meeting if you wish. Oh,
Thank you for sharing your story.
yeah, thank you all for coming out.
It's just terrible.
And once
You know
again,
what, I don't know his extension.
there's a reason we keep this on the agenda, so that
Okay.
at our next meeting, this isn't something that's in our rearview mirror, that this is a live item that continues to draw the attention of the Township Committee, and will stay on until everything at Pluckman Park is restored or repaired. Until then, it stays on our agenda.
How will we know you've come to a resolution or what you have agreed to with Eddie?
Doug will report at our next meeting, and if, Doug, you don't mind reporting to Susan and John. If you can give your contact information to Robin?
I'll keep you in the loop. Not a problem.
I think you have my
We'll just.
Yeah.
You know
You
what?
don't want to give it.
Give
on
it
the
to
record,
Robin.
yeah.
Give it to Robin. Robin will give it to Doug, and
919@gmail. What a lovely phrase.
Thank you. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody, for coming out.
thank you. Thank you all for coming out.
Yeah.
Doug, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yes.
All right, thank
Nothing juicy in the resolutions?
You can stick around.
Stay, yeah.
Do you want to give me your contact information, John?
you. Email is
Thank you,
all
Susan.
lowercase, John J.
Oh,
Mahoney.
I think there's something about
John
we have Xfinity.
Mahoney.
You brought something up, you said before, I heard you say it.
Oh, actually, later in the meeting,
Card there. Okay.
Renee Moreski and Committeeman Hickey just attended a meeting with the Hills Village North about bringing
7341.
optimum
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
optimum fiber through the hills.
Can it come down Arwood too?
Yeah, we only got
Or is that
Xfinity.
Hey, Colin, take yourself off mute for a second.
Let's skip ahead.
Absolutely. They will be part of the review and construction plan. So if the neighbors are interested in that, which I suspect many are, we would be happy to facilitate that.
Good.
Yeah, we need another,
Another
Cable
choice.
company.
Very, very, very pricey, and you have no alternative.
Tell George, the gentleman in the back who left.
So, Michelle, thank you for asking that question.
Is that his name who left?
So Doug, maybe
there was a little whisper.
you could also get some information from Colin about putting them in touch with our rep from Optimum.
I'll take that. Yeah.
Marilyn Davis, right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you for
Good luck.
coming.
But if you come at night, just
We know.
And the gazebo, that they have a light on, never goes off, but it's leaking, so you can't use it.
The Vivo.
oh, that apple
And Pluckman Park continues its run on our agenda and will continue to stay on our agenda. Approval of minutes. We have one set of minutes to review and approve. August 16, 2021, Township Committee meeting at 7 o'clock. Any comments regarding the minutes that Ms. Ray has prepared? If none, may we have a motion to approve the minutes for August 16th?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
We have two permits and raffles. First, the social affair permit for St. Joseph's Hospital on September 13, 2021, from 10:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. at Hamilton Farms Golf Club, 1040 Pottersville Road. And second is an off-premise merchandise raffle to benefit the Friends of the Jacobus Vanderveer House on October 10, 2021 at 3 p.m. May we have a motion to approve those, well, the one permit and the one raffle?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Start monthly report discussion by Subcommittee Chair, Committeeman Stevenson.
Thank you, Mayor. No meeting at Historic Preservation this past month. It's an off month, so we'll get after it again in September. DPW, as you had mentioned earlier in the meeting, Mayor, that the time is spent recently on repairing some of the washout roads and assessing the damage, so we're going to continue to do that for the next couple of weeks. Did get complaints about some lighting over on Robertson. We're aware of that, but we've got to prioritize our resources, and right now getting the roadways back to snuff is the first priority, but that is on the list. We will get to it. Folks over in Robertson, we hear you. John, again, talking today about the opening of the bulky waste. Commend you, Mayor, on that decision. Thought that was the right thing to do. I actually was down there today, saw some folks doing it as well, so good job on that. And then last, if I could just touch upon something we do on old business. I can do it now with an update on the PSE&G gas line. We've got a date to meet on the 23rd. I'll be here live. We're also going to do it by Zoom.
My whole neighborhood wants to.
Yeah, I'm getting text messages today that they're interested in it, so I'm excited about it. I've got a rep from PSE&G who's going to join us to answer some questions. And so
Now, is that both, is that Deer Haven and Old Dutch, or just Deer Haven?
No, both.
Great.
Deer Haven,
Old Stonehouse?
Stonehouse, Berkshire, Ski Hill.
That's great.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do, I've got some folks on Ski Hill who have offered to put up some flyers and put them in mailboxes to just get the word out. The 23rd, 7 o'clock, you can come in person or attend by Zoom. And it's really just an informational session to stress to everybody that if you want to do this, let's do it now in mass. Because if we do it with numbers, we can take the costs down to run that line, maybe for free. And of course, you still have your tap-in costs and conversion costs, but getting the line run, depending on how many BTUs are committed to the project by the neighborhoods, there's a chance that we can get that at a little to no expense. So what I'd like to do in the interim is prepare some information about how the gas will, improve property values, and just hand out some information about why folks might want to do that.
Great.
The 7 p.m. though.
7 o'clock, yes. And Renee, are you going to touch upon the community garden? I'll leave that to you if you'd like.
I can, or you can take it, either one.
That's fine. You can take that. We've got another meeting coming up later this month. Renee will talk about on community gardens. So
Okay,
that's all I
great.
got.
So, and just a reminder for folks who may be listening, so what we're doing with PSE&G is similarly, is that the PSE&G conversion is something that a single resident can reach out to PSE&G to make a connection, to request a connection, and the entire town is in PSE&G service. So, yeah, a resident anywhere can request connection to PSE&G for gas service. However, PSE&G is going to charge you based upon your anticipated usage of gas relative to the expense of the connection. So if they're going to bring a connection from 400, 500, 600 yards or 1,000 yards, well, it's probably not going to be worth it. However, if it's going to be a few hundred yards and you have enough neighbors to actually raise that usage up so that the costs of the connection take advantage of economies of scale to the point that PSE&G will come out and connect neighborhoods if they get a threshold number of participants, and it's I say threshold number, but it's not based upon actual number of participants. It's based upon BTUs, based upon the consumption. So what we're doing is not necessarily a direct role of government, but we are continuing to act as a convener, right? So we know these programs exist, and as community representatives, we reach out to these neighborhoods where we live, or we have friends, or we have connections, and we say, look, there's an opportunity for you all to go from your gas or your propane connection and to go to, for your oil, I'm sorry, from your oil or your propane connection to go to a dedicated gas line. And just as Doug said, and I think Gina in prior conversations said, the realtors love it because it boosts home values up. It's reliable. You don't need the delivery of the oil, or as an environmental attorney, the risk of having an oil leak. There's so much to be said for it, and it's something that we can do and help convene and bring PSE&G together with neighborhoods. So thank you, Doug, for
Yeah,
picking
my
it
pleasure.
up. Gina, thanks for and coordinating with folks from your neighborhood as well. Okay, so moving on with subcommittee reports. Committeewoman Fernandez.
Thank you, Mayor. August was a quiet month. I have no updates for you tonight.
All right. Good. Committeeman Hickey.
You're mixing it up tonight, Mayor. I will be very brief. Since our last meeting, we did have a Board of Health meeting where a record 4 septic applications were reviewed. 3 were approved. 1 applicant was told to go do some homework and come back to a subsequent meeting. And that's about all I have right now. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Committeewoman Moreski.
Good evening, Mayor. It's weird to be back in Zoom, but that was the best we could do tonight with the 2 meetings. Last week I actually had someplace I had to be for the Environmental Commission meeting, but I did catch up with the chair, Dawn March, the day after, because they had an interesting evening with the Bed 1 property, the property that's at 202, 206 and Burnt Mills. The Environmental Commission a couple of weeks ago had actually asked the Bed 1 property to submit the environmental impact statement. And I don't know if you can see it, but this is the size of the statement. It's a very large document. They did a lot of work, and the commissioners reviewed this document before they came to the meeting, and they had some extra questions, and the impact statement didn't answer most of those questions. So the EC did vote to let the land use board that they have no other concerns with that property, and they're good to go and don't need any more information. So it's onto the land use board with Bed 1. Let's see. So Black River Road, as you know, we've been speaking with one of the homeowners about speeding along that highway, along that road, not a highway. And a couple of times this year, in the past 12 months, we've met with Chief Rock, John Mance, Paul Farrow, and the homeowner, Doug Brown. We had placed some traffic signs on the northbound and the southbound side of Black River Road. The northbound side, all reports are that the speeding is better, that it has slowed down, but he did have the homeowner did have some concerns still on the southbound side. So at this meeting, we had a couple conversations about what we could do, moving signs, adding signs. And the consensus was that even though there were other smaller signs, speed detecting signs, things that flash red LED lights, probably the best and most cost-effective measure would be for the town to purchase a new portable sign, one that's a flashing traffic sign, but it can be moved. That way, the plan would be to purchase that and put that at River Road, a little farther down towards, a little farther southbound than the original sign. But once we feel that it has served its purpose, we can put that other places in the town. And while there's no funding for that kind of sign in this year's budget, we'll be looking to add that to next year's budget. It runs around $3,000, I believe. But I think that'll be effective because we could use it not only at the Black River Road site, but at other points in town where I do know we have other issues.
Renee, was there discussion about moving the existing sign, that existing electronic sign, further to the south?
There was, and they felt that that would just lead to issues there's an adjacent road, I forget the name of it, that there would be problems with that, and that it would make the situation worse. So they wanted to leave that sign where it is and then add a second sign.
Okay.
And
was Mr. Brown on board with this approach?
Yes, he was.
Okay.
Yep, he was. Let's see, so I'll do brief update on the community garden that Doug mentioned. So Paul Ferrara, our engineer, had submitted to us a quick layout for the piece of property that's next to the Jacobus Vanderveer house, approximately 1 acre in size. However, the team that met, that would be Doug and myself, with obviously Paul, Rob and Ray, and John Mance. There was an idea to actually split that property or split that area into 2 separate parts so that we could have a startup side and then a place to grow. We wouldn't do all the expenses all at once. So for example, we would be paying for fencing, irrigation, we would have compost areas. So we could put that in the one side and see how it goes, see how successful we are. So Paul will be redesigning that layout. And we have a planned meeting date for September 29th, inviting all interested residents of Bedminster, and see who wants to come join us and start down the road of making rules and a committee and things like that. Oh, and what else? So tonight, as we said, we were in a meeting with the HHMA Hills Highland about the Altice fiber optic program. We'd met with their executive committee, and as you may or may not, Mayor, I'm sure you know, but not everybody knows, that up in Hills Highland, we have 2 different kinds of properties. We have the condos and townhomes, and then we have single family homes. So Parkside, Signal Point, and Crestmont are condo properties. Autumn Ridge, Gatehouse, and Governor's Watch are all single family homes. So this was primarily a meeting to get basic information to the single family homes. Again, it was hosted by Marilyn Davis of Altice. She had several of her co-workers who attended the meeting as well. In particular, Alexis Munoz, who has done many of these kinds of properties in the past. So when the homeowners are asking about digging up properties and how long it will take, Alexis was the one to answer most of those questions. Since this was in kind of an investigatory meeting though, the Hills Highlands will be putting together another committee to go into further detail with Marilyn and with Alexis on exactly what this is going to look like. As I said, the single family homes are up there. So those communities are a little more complicated, might take a little bit longer, but everybody seemed excited about the opportunities to take part in putting in the fiber optics, and we'll go from there. We have a meeting with the HVMA on September 27th. And I'm still actually waiting for a return email from Timberbrook, but I'm hoping I can get to them as well, because they'll have the same kinds of questions as the HVMA and the HVNMA.
All right, so I misspoke earlier when I said that Renee and Colin were meeting with Hills Village North. In turn, actuality, they were meeting with Hills Highlands this evening. So what's this turnaround on creating a subcommittee? Is this going to slow the process down for the residents up there?
It's going to be a fairly long process anyway. I don't think it's going to slow it down. And in these neighborhoods, you're really going to need to get everybody's buy-in. So I don't know that there's any way around it, but it does sound like they're excited to do this. And while we were at the meeting, Michelle Garcia, who runs their meeting, already was asking people for volunteers to participate. So I don't think I think it's going to move pretty quickly.
Okay, good.
Mayor, Robin, there's someone in the waiting room if you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I believe that's all for me tonight, Mayor.
Okay. Renee, we'll say, having gone by the pond on 206 several times over the last couple of days, I'm not sure what the treatments are doing anymore, but the pond looks pretty darn clear of the weeds and vegetation. And just for anyone who's interested, the mud line is probably about 5 feet off the ground. So if you're on the hike and bike trail and you're looking over at the bushes next door, you'll see it's about 5 feet off the ground. So that tells you how high above normal water elevation the pond was where it met up with the north branch of the Raritan. So you must be at that point 8, 9, 10 feet over normal water conditions. And that wouldn't be the first time I've seen it, because last time I saw it like that was Irene.
Wow. So my thought is twofold. Number one, if the water moved quickly, maybe it dug out some of the silt that's sitting at the bottom. Or two, if it didn't move out too quickly and sat there and rested, maybe we have more silt. But
yeah, right. It may just act as a detention basin and create more sediment.
But the EC is going to be measuring that later on this year, so we'll see what actually happened.
Good. So my report, I'll just keep it to Land Use Board. So last week, oh, wait a second. Did I skip? Oh, no, we did Colin. I'm sorry. The Land Use Board heard an application for a group called Bedminster Brethren, which purchased the Burger King, the former Burger King site, and their plan is to operate it as a house of worship. They went through a lot of questions from the board. Apparently, it will be used Sundays and Monday evenings, and that's it. There will be no signage. They said they did not intend to put any signage in. A statement was made about perhaps getting rid of the perimeter road that looked like it could have been a drive-through line if we actually allowed drive-through lanes in Bedminster. They said they wanted to keep that for flow of traffic, and they were approved. So we'll welcome them to Bedminster and see what happens with the property. This Thursday, as everyone on Township Committee knows, we have a joint meeting with the Land Use Board, and this represents, after many years, the final presentation, at least we believe it's final presentation, by the planning consultant team that Bedminster is working with, along with Somerset County, through a grant from the Highlands on planning alternatives for the AT&T campus in Bedminster. So that will be 7 o'clock in these chambers. The Township Committee will be guests of the Land Use Board, but since we'll have a full complement of Township Committee, it has been fully noticed out to the public. And I've spoke to folks from the County Planning Office, and it'll be in person. The presenters will be in person. So Walt Lane from the County Planning Department, Kate Keller, who's with the planning consultant, and then the other planning consultant, Pete Kramer. They will be in person. The meeting will be available also via Zoom. So any members of the public who wish to hear the presentation can certainly attend. And the discussions with AT&T and MetLife, the property owner, go back to something that Mayor Parker and I had raised a number of years ago, as in my own professional experience dealing with these corporate campuses, single tenant corporate campuses, and they were becoming, and still are, dinosaurs in the real estate world. That suburban New Jersey was a great place in the 70s and 80s for these large companies to site their corporate campuses, and we saw that changing. And And we had a couple options. One is to sit back and do nothing. Right? And do nothing. And sit there and like cross your fingers that AT&T is going to stay there forever and ever. That'd be great, right? And the alternative is to plan. And we made the decision to engage directly with MetLife, the property owner, and with AT&T as the tenant to get a better understanding of what was going out there. And then it just so happens that in working with the county planning office, the property was targeted as an area that could be available for further study. And working with the county, we put forward that study. And after going through some grant processes, going through the vetting of different consultants, selecting a consultant, and now having engaged with stakeholders over the last year, we're in position to actually see the presentation from the planning team, and so we'll see you all this Thursday. And that's what I have. Ms. Ray, may we please have the administrator's report?
Sure. I'll be brief since a lot was already covered. DPW is dealing with the plethora of issues as a result of the flooding caused by Ida. And, excuse me, Paul Ferrer has made himself available should we need him. Mary already mentioned the Township dump facility will be open this week. And I have no new information to report on the Black River Road paving project at this time. Status remains as quo. Just a couple of things. Human Resources seems to be very busy. Effective August 27th, Jenny Peterson resigned in the court as violations clerk. So this evening we have a resolution in front of you recommending the Human Resources Committee recommends that the part-time violations clerk be appointed to full-time. You'll see that later on. The DPW Principal Public Works Manager job has been posted. It's been out for 2 weeks. Our interviews for a new administrative assistant and DPW truck driver were delayed due to the storm, so we hope to get those taken care of tomorrow and Thursday. We continue to review and update the Personnel Policy and Procedures Manual with a meeting in the next week with all of the department heads for input, and just some employee information sessions that we're running over the next couple of days. We have so many new employees that we thought it'd be a good idea to review some AFLAC information, which is supplemental insurance, and Lincoln Financial, which is deferred compensation and retirement planning. With IT department, Rave Communications, as you know, we've engaged Rave. We're working with the marketing team right now to market the system to the Bedminster community, the best way to do it, and advertise it on our website. Tweaking a couple of the alert types right now. I've been through a series of 3 different trainings. I have a marketing meeting tomorrow with the folks just to do the rollover for our website, and participating in additional training sessions for the staff that's going to be using the system will be next week. And code enforcement, nothing to present. Tax collector, nothing. Just a couple of miscellaneous items. The Greater Raritan Summer Youth Intern Program ended on August 16th. We had an intern here for about 8 weeks. She was great. We actually made a lot of headway with the affordable housing files, so that's a good thing. Park benches number 24 and 25 were installed the week before the hurricane. Both are on the grounds of the Clarence Dillon Public Library property. 2 residents made those donations. One's by the community garden and one is by the pedestrian trail. Just a little nice plug for our park bench donation program, and I think we have another one coming in shortly this week. In preparation for Governor Murphy's bag ban, which takes effect May 4th. Mayor, would you please share? We purchased through our Clean Communities grant bags for reusable grocery bags, which we will be distributing to residents. I know the EC, Renee, you can back me up on this, is doing a special program for school-aged children at Bedminster School.
That's correct.
And that concludes my report.
So how are we getting the bags out to residents?
Well, I figured farmer's market might be.
Really? The farmer's market? Imagine that.
So we can talk about that later. They have a couple opportunities.
Great. Well, that's a lot.
Oh, and voting, I should tell you, don't forget, there's going to be 3 new ways to vote this year for the first time ever. There's going to be voters, New Jersey voters will have the opportunity to cast a ballot by either voting early, and it's a 9-day period, and we'll get this information out to residents as well and on our website so everybody's very clear. Everybody might have received this large packet in the mail. For sure, did you receive this in the mail? I don't know. Okay.
I received something.
Okay, great. The second way is to vote in person on election day, and the third is vote by mail program. So it's not clear whether the ballot boxes will be used this year. The early voting is going to be, you cast a vote on a machine. Yes.
So early voting will be at dedicated locations?
At several early polling places throughout Somerset County. You'll be able to vote in person on a voting machine for the November general election, October 23rd through October 31st, correct, for 9 days in person on a machine. So it's still unclear about the ballot boxes that we all have in front of our buildings now, but we have a meeting with the county clerk in 2 weeks, and we'll get more information and we'll share with the public.
Okay, thank you. And the rollout, is there a rollout for Rave?
I have to speak with the marketing team tomorrow.
Okay.
I have a meeting with them tomorrow morning at 10.
So the program itself is live, we just haven't rolled it out yet?
Correct. We just
Okay.
need to market it and
Okay.
get it active on our website. So that's what the purpose of tomorrow's meeting is.
Okay,
But we
thank
can
you.
actually send messages right now, but there's no one to send them to because we don't have any subscribers.
Okay, discussion on introduced ordinances, scheduled for public hearings. We're not introducing any ordinances tonight, but we do have the public hearing for 2 different ordinances. The first ordinance is ordinance number 2021-017, and ordinance amending ordinance number 2021-007. So we go from 017 to which is amending 007, adopted it on May 3rd, 2021, appropriating $108,000 for body-worn camera equipment for the Township of Bedminster Police Department. This ordinance amends ordinance number 2021-007 and specifies the amount of grant money is received in the amount of $40,760 from the State of New Jersey Department of Law and Public Safety for the SFY 21 body-worn camera grant program. May we have a motion to open the public hearing for ordinance 2021-017?
So,
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We don't have Chief Rock with us tonight, but we've been through this. This is essentially now that we actually have the real numbers, and we're just plugging the real numbers into the ordinance that we previously adopted back in May. Any questions or comments?
does the 40,000 the final number that we're getting from Trent?
Yes.
Correct.
So based on this mandate, we had to come out of pocket 67,000 and change?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. It's unbelievable.
Any further questions or comments from the Township Committee?
None.
Okay, we will open up for public comment. Any members of the public have any questions or comments concerning ordinance 2021-017? The lectern is available, and for participation by Zoom, bring your cursor down to the bottom of the screen. Over participants, click raise hand.
I've not seen any comments, Mayor.
Okay, may we have a motion to close the public hearing for ordinance 2021-017?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Okay, may we have a motion to approve ordinance number 2021-017?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote, please. Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Hickey?
Aye.
Ms. Moreski?
Aye.
Ms. Fernandez?
Aye.
And Mayor Jacob?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, the second ordinance for public hearing is ordinance number 2021-018, an ordinance appropriating $64,400 for Black River Road paving project. This ordinance authorizes appropriating $64,400 from the 2021 capital plan for engineering costs for the paving project of Black River Road in Bedminster Township. And the township has received a DOT grant for this project for $250,000. Ms. Ray, do you have anything further to add to the description of the ordinance?
Other than this is just for the engineering costs for the second portion.
Right. And I believe if we stay on schedule with the engineering, we really should be looking at getting Black River Road full. Holds true, and we have no other weather situations. This could be, paving could begin late fall.
Early
Actually,
November.
maybe mid-fall. Oh, so any further questions or comments from the Township Committee on Ordinance 2021-018? Did we open the
We need
public
to
hearing?
open.
We do know,
No, we didn't
okay.
open.
May we motion to open the public hearing for Ordinance 2021-018?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
favor.
Aye. Okay, so $64,400 for the engineering expenses. I think we've talked about this a couple times before. Any further comments from Township Committee?
Nope.
Okay, we can open up for public comments. Any questions or comments from the public, either the lectern or on Zoom? Scroll down, raise hand.
I'm not seeing any comments.
Okay,
Mary.
seeing none, may we have a motion to close the public hearing for Ordinance 2021-018?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We will need a motion to approve ordinance number 2021-018.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote, please. Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Hickey?
Aye.
Ms. Moreski?
Aye.
Ms. Fernandez?
Aye.
And Mayor Jacobs?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have 6 items on for the consent agenda. Are there any items that any Township Committee member wants to pull out for individual discussion? Seeing none, may we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote, Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Hickey?
Aye.
Ms. Moreski?
Aye.
Ms. Fernandez?
Aye.
And Mayor Jacobs?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, we have one resolution that is not on the consent agenda, and that is resolution number 2021-120, which authorizes the execution of a shared services agreement with Somerset County for modifications to the traffic signal located at the intersection of State Route 206 and Burnt Mills Road, Washington Valley Road. Okay, so when we did the rezoning for the Bed 1 facility, the way that rezoning works is that if the Bedminster 1 property pursues a planning board approval under that zoning ordinance, they have an obligation to effect repairs, not repairs, to effect improvements to the intersection of routes 202, 206 and Burnt Mills and Washington Valley Road. That intersection is a combination of a state road and a county road. It's not a township road. So by obligating the owner or some future applicant on who's going to pursue the rezoning, or not pursue the rezoning, they're going to pursue a land use planning board approval, they have the obligation to effect those repairs under the ordinance. However, they will need to work with the county, because it's a county road, Washington Valley, Burnt Mills, to effect those repairs. The agreement that's the subject of the resolution reflects a back and forth between Tom Collins, who is our planning board attorney, with the council for the county on okay? Bedminster is not coming out of pocket. So this shared services agreement is, we're not spending money with the county on those road improvements, should those road improvements proceed. It sets forth the understanding that both the township and the county have that the applicant, if they pursue the application and they get an approval, that the applicant will be spending the money. But in any event, since it's a county road, we still need that shared services agreement. So the agreement, that's the subject of the resolution, reflects that understanding. That's resolution number 2021-120. Any further questions or comments regarding that resolution?
No.
Thank you. Someone gave an answer. That was good. Thank you, Renee.
You're welcome.
Seeing none, may we have a motion to approve resolution number 2021-120. Once again, this is not an expense of the municipality. This is just getting into agreement with the county with the understanding that a future applicant will be responsible for all the expenses to improve that intersection.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
And a second.
Roll call vote, please. Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Hickey?
Aye.
Ms. Moreski?
Aye.
Ms. Fernandez?
Aye.
And Mayor Jacobs?
Aye.
Thank you.
And may we have a motion to approve the bill list pending review of individual invoices.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote, Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Hickey?
Aye.
Ms. Moreski?
Aye.
Ms. Fernandez?
Aye.
And Mayor Jacobs?
Aye.
Thank you.
New business, there is something I just want to put on new business, and it's very timely that Melissa Riley is here. So Melissa,
Oh, God.
August 21st.
Oh,
August 21st.
I can handle that.
Came and went.
yes, it did.
So we had said that when we were going, that we were making decisions regarding marijuana consumption, marijuana licensing, that we would, hey, let's see what happens on August 21st. Let's see if there's any meat to the rules and regulations that the Cannabis Commission?
Cannabis Regulatory Commission, the
Cannabis
What she
Regulatory Commission. If there was any details that might cause us to change our mind. So, Melissa, I'm not going to ask for a full rundown today, but if we could schedule maybe in a couple weeks
Yeah,
to get so that we all get an understanding of what actually happened, what rules were promulgated, how they're working.
I'm happy to do that. It's
Okay.
about 163 pages or something.
I'm not going to read them.
You should not. It was nothing too surprising, but I'm happy to go into detail. Not detail, but an overview of what's important to you guys and what's good to know.
And is that something that we should have our land use board members also participate? Because,
It would probably be helpful,
Okay.
yeah, for sure.
all right, so if we can just, if you want to coordinate with John, I'm not sure if Fuad wants to come back, and
Yeah.
the two of you can do that presentation again?
Happy to.
Okay, great.
That's great.
That's good?
Super.
Okay. That's all I have for new business. Any other new business items?
No.
Renee, Colin, Gina?
No.
Okay. Old business, we covered COVID, DOT improvements, following up with DOT to see when the additional signage is going on at the River Road, and also to see if we're going to get those same arrows at Hills Drive that they had also said we'd be getting. Colin, you want to cover utilities?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. Just to dovetail with one of the questions you asked before in Renee's report, obviously we've been using the Master Association meetings as an introduction for LTs to the different homeowners associations, but we do not anticipate a delay. We're not going to let committees get in the way of our progress. So, for example, Hills Village North, we did the introductory meeting, and within a week, Jeff Leonard, who's the president of the association, had arranged a follow-up working meeting. We all got down to brass tacks. And one of the things that Renee and I reminded Hills Highlands tonight is be part of the plan. Do not wait for a plan to be handed to you by LTs. get your concerns, get your questions, get your comments into Altice as quickly as possible to help inform that plan. And that's what we're doing in Hills Village North right now, because there are specific concerns by community based on either what Verizon had done previously when they had done some of their fiber installs, or some of the work that's occurred by Altice over the last, say, 6 to 12 months. So we will continue to push progress in working with Altice. I just wanted to bring up the date on that. Mayor, I don't know if you gave the highlights of JCP&L at the start of the meeting, or if you wanted me to cover that.
No, if you could cover that, please.
Yeah. So obviously the outage from Tropical Storm Ida last week resulted in about 1,000 homes in Bedminster losing power. Most of them were in the upper hills. I think also Birchwood and Long Meadow were impacted. It was due to the switch flooding at the bottom of Schley Mountain Road. No one would have anticipated that, but sure enough, it went underwater. All 3 fuses in that box blew. The JCP&L crew was able to replace those fuses, and power was restored approximately noon the following day. So kudos to them for getting that back up in service so quickly. On the flip side, it would be worthy to notice that the power stayed on almost everywhere else in Bedminster, which I think is due in part to the work that this body has undertaken over the last 2 or 3 years, championing and working with JCP&L to make some much needed improvements. And finally, New Jersey American Water, the water main replacement on Deer Haven Road down to Peapack Road is scheduled to begin next Monday. Residents have already noticed the markouts there, and that work will proceed. The plan has been coordinated between New Jersey American Water, our DPW, and Bedminster PD. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I will say, just to follow up on what Colin mentioned regarding JCP&L and power outage, both Colin and I were in touch with literally the last 2 homes to be restored on River Road. They were one-offs, and we were on the phone with Carl Bianchi. Colin, what was that, Saturday night?
Saturday night about 10:30. I think we finally got the last home up and running.
So Saturday night, we were dealing with Carol off and on, also engaging with the property owner. I was driving up and down River Road, looking to see if there was, if there was a line down, something that we could use to expedite the restoration. And literally, I turned around at one point, and the JCP&L trucks had come into a driveway and already started the work. And so I reached out to Colin, I reached out to the property owner, and so once again, it was never good to be out of power. Any power outage is not a good situation, but to some extent on the power side, we were lucky that it was primarily a rain event and not a rain and wind event. Situation might have been much more dire. But I think Colin's right. I think that our constant coordination with Carol Bianchi and JCP&L and the repairs that have been affected, and also encouraging the vegetation clearing helps, right? So the one outage that we did suffer that was significant was water, and was not wind, was not a tree coming down, and that's what took out the power in the hills on Wednesday. Pluckman Park housing, imagine that. Pluckman Park is on our old business, and we keep it there. Doug, do you have any updates?
Nothing further.
Nothing further, okay. Township Committee comments, Committeeman Stevenson, if you don't mind.
Thank you, Mayor. Just real quickly, as we start our new school year, I just want to wish everybody good luck that's going back to school. Wish the college folks that had graduated good luck in college. And then just to parlay on the school topic, don't know whether you folks heard, but one of the major capital projects that they were saving for and they started to implement was a new roof, and unfortunately a worker there on the roof perished. Don't know if it was heat stroke or what, but certainly I'm sure all of us feel the same way. Thoughts and condolences go out to the family of the worker there, and it's upsetting, obviously, but, new year starts and hope everybody does well and, wishing everybody the best over at the school.
Thank you. Committeewoman Fernandez.
To piggyback on what Doug said, just want to wish all the students going back to school a healthy, safe school year. And also, just wanted to reiterate what you said earlier, thanking our first responders. In the flash floods, everybody was being told, stay home, and they were going out into the flash floods to save people. So they're amazing heroes. And I just want to, reiterate and go on the record thanking them. And that's all, Mayor.
Committeeman Hickey.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank you and Committeeman Stevenson. Tonight is another example of this body working together to help and advocate for our residents. Tonight it was our most vulnerable residents. You mentioned that we've all been out there, but you guys have been championing that and you've been beating the drum on that. And just want to express my appreciation for doing that on behalf of everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Colin.
Committeewoman Moreski.
And I just want to say thank you to the people of Puckerman Park for coming out and explaining to us and sending the letters with all the information that we need to help better their situation. I know it's really rough, but if we don't know what's going on, we can't help them. So thank you so much for putting all the time and energy and coming out to talk with us tonight.
Okay, thank you, Renee. I'll just make one comment. Katie DiSpenzieri, who brought us the Little Free Library, is now on the Clarence Dillon Library Board.
Very nice.
Awesome.
So I know she's very excited.
That's great.
To be on the library board, where I'm sure she will bring some energy. She certainly did so with the little library, and we expect great things from her, and I'm pretty sure we'll get them. That's all I have. We do have an executive session. Sorry, guys. We do have an executive session. And we do. We will be taking action. We will be taking action, or we may be taking action following the executive session. So if you are a member of the public and you want to stick around, we will go to a separate Zoom breakout room. You're more than welcome to stay around for the end of the meeting and just stay in that room that you're presently in, and the rest of us will go to executive session. It is 8:52. May we have a motion to adjourn to executive session?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so once again, we will see you when we, it is 9:43, the Township Committee has returned from executive session, and we are ready to take action on a resolution. And that resolution is, give me 1 second, resolution number 2021-119. This resolution appoints an acting deputy court administrator. May we have a motion to approve resolution number 2021-119?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Oh, sorry. Roll call vote, please. That's going to be Mr. Stevenson.
Aye.
Mr. Hickey.
Aye.
Ms. Moreski.
Aye.
Ms. Fernandez.
Aye.
And Mayor Jacobs.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have no further business to take care of tonight. 9:43, may we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, and
Thank
good
you.
night.
Hi, everybody.
So.
Hold on. Stop recording.